exciting to be here today. This is Ramsay Rehab's first Facebook Live, and we're going to be chatting to Kirsty Skeates. She is one of my absolute superheroes in the field. She is a hydrotherapist in the UK, and she has a phenomenal business. She is known as the Queen of Hydrotherapy, and she also won the Business of the Year Award in 2019. So welcome, Kirsty.
Hi, and thanks so much for having me on.
It's a pleasure. It's so nice to have this opportunity. So if you could just tell us a little bit about you and who you are and your journey in rehab.
Yeah, so I started quite a few years ago. I had a passion for water and for swimming, and I've just sort of like retrained as a canine hydrotherapist about 3 years ago now. With myself and my husband, we built the whole hydrotherapy centre ourselves. So he actually built the whole pool and the building about 18 months ago. So I've been going for 18 months now.
Very, very cool. That's awesome. Well done. I think a team approach is a big win, especially because you can keep calling him back to help you more.
Yeah, he's very handy.
Awesome. So I have a few hydrotherapy questions to ask you, and if anyone who's watching wants to ask a question, just pop it in the comments, and then we'll get Kirsty to answer it. But a good place to start, I think, with hydrotherapy, especially considering where Ramsay Rehab is, we launched our pool on the day of lockdown, so we haven't had much swimming. But when we go back, we're gonna get most of our patients into the nice warm pool. So what are the major benefits of hydro?
Yeah, so the benefits of hydrotherapy, so it's just like us as humans that, water is just so healing. So obviously getting the dogs in the pool is just perfect for them. There's so many different benefits from being in the water, even if it's just floating in the water for relaxation, or sort of more doing a more vigorous exercise to be able to use those limbs and, to build up that muscle and the tone, and also strengthening those joints, especially pre-surgery or post-surgery as well, which is really good. And just sort of like, just relieving that pain, swelling and stiffness, increasing that range of motion, and also, just helping those dogs when they've had the operations, just increasing that recovery rate as well from injury.
Okay, and that's kind of like the dog is not weight bearing on land, so getting those limbs to move without having to weight bear.
Yeah, so obviously being in the water is a non-weight bearing exercise. It's also using different muscles in different ways. So when you're in the water, so having that non-weight bearing on those joints, it can also relieve the pain. Also, we can get a lot more movement in the water, especially if those dogs, are really struggling on land. We also have a weight loss program as well, so we can get the dogs in the water and they can actually exercise better in the water than they can on land. So we've had some really good results from a lot of our weight loss clients from being in the water.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's a really great added type of therapy to a rehab center. I think it's going to be super valuable. And conditions that specifically will benefit from hydrotherapy?
Yeah, so there's quite a range of conditions, and sort of all dogs can benefit from hydrotherapy, even from sort of like your older dogs right through to your puppies. So getting your puppies in the water at an early age is really good. Also getting used to the water and also the hydrotherapy. So if later in life they need hydrotherapy, it's just part of what they've always done and always loved as well. And there's quite a few, especially for arthritis. We do have quite a lot of arthritis clients that come to us, and it makes a huge difference to these dogs, so they're able to feel like puppies again. It's really nice.
Oh, that's super cool. And when you say throughout their age, you mean how young can they be when they can start hydro? Is there a limit?
So what we do is we make sure that they've had all their vaccinations. So if they're ready to go out to the park, then they're ready to come to hydrotherapy.
Oh, that's super exciting. I can't wait to get some puppies in. You see, at the moment, our clinic is mostly focused on the older doggies, to manage their pain and their conditions. And I think, first of all, to make them feel like a puppy again will be such an honor. And then to get some puppies in. We actually work next door. There's a puppy school that comes in a few times in the week, and we see all the puppies, and we never get to play with them. So it'd be pretty cool for me and my therapists.
Yeah, well, the great thing about for the puppies, especially if you've got any of the giant breeds, it's good to get them in the pool, especially so that we can just take some pressure off that joints as they're growing. Also, it can help with growth pains as well. So also just managing that. We do have a couple of giant breeds, like some St. Bernards and stuff that come as well. And also we've had some Newfoundland puppies because they want to get introduced to the water and a good experience. So later on they can do some water work.
Yes, yeah, because I know they're a breed that they use for actual working, like rescue and things.
Yeah, so it's quite good to get them early on and making sure that, all those experiences are good experiences and also safe experiences as well. So, and once they learn the game in the water, they just love it.
Super. So I see there's a long comment here. Let me read it to you. It's from Karen Landman. She says, Candice has helped our Great Dane with hydrotherapy, and we know it works wonders for our boys. He's been diagnosed with wobblers. He's immunocompromised and gets tummies upsets every time we get into the water, whether it be at home or at Ramsay Rehab. Have you ever encountered this before, or is it something we can use? Is it something we can use when he's in the pool?
So he's getting tummy upsets. Is he drinking a lot of the water?
I think he does swallow a bit of the water, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little, like a support so that he doesn't lower his neck into the water. But as I say, he is a wobbler's dog, so I don't want to mess too much with the neck area.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously making sure that he hasn't eaten 3 hours before coming to hydro, and even 2 hours afterwards. So making sure there's quite a big space between food and exercise is quite important for that.
So I think he's not eating before he comes for hydro, but perhaps eating a bit soon after hydro.
Yeah. So just sort of making sure that. No, we don't actually get many dogs with tummy upsets. The water is very low in chemicals. It will have, say, some chlorine or bromine in it, so it is sanitized. We actually have a UV system, so our chemicals are quite low. So there is actually, so it actually doesn't actually hurt them to drink the water. We do have a couple of dogs that just drink because even if you put a water bowl down at home, they just drink it and drink it and drink it. So it's just sort of limiting the amount that they do drink. But no, I mean, the pool water is going to be, and also it's always tested for any of the bacterias or anything like that. So your hydrotherapy pool is going to be 100% cleaner than your normal swimming pool that you would go to as a human.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big contributing factor. I mean, going forward, we're probably going to continue swimming him at the center and not at home. So I think a UV light system might be a really good investment for Ramsay Rehab in the future. I see there's one from Joaquin Dalmeida. Is the combination of hydro and physical rehab more effective together compared to both treatments being done individually? It's a good question.
I suppose what we do with Lisa, our canine hydrotherapist, and hydro is it complements each other. It's a package that we're putting together, and we find that it really works nicely together. So you have your physiotherapy sessions, and then you have your hydro sessions. So working them together alongside plus obviously with your vet and any other complementary therapy that you work together with as well. We've got quite a few clients that also go to go on with the needles. Now I've forgotten it. Acupuncture.
Oh, acupuncture.
Mind block then. Yeah, so they have acupuncture, they come to hydrotherapy, they go to physiotherapy, also they might go to a dietitian as well. So it's just getting that whole package that comes together, and it really does help combine it all together to help with that dog's rehab program. So it complements together.
Yeah, and actually I got a bit of inspiration from following you for a while, and a few others. At the centre we do, Sherry is our hydrotherapist. She's Grey Friars qualified, which is really, monumentally huge. And then myself and another manual therapist, and then obviously we only work on referral from veterinarians. So we kind of, if we do a rehab assessment, and then we decide what manual therapy we're going to do. And then if we do hydro, we obviously communicate with the vets as well, just to let them know our direction of treatment. But I think I totally agree. Having them both is very valuable.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because there's different things that we can work on in the water and on land. So it complements it very nicely together. We actually do physiotherapy and hydrotherapy. We can do them together on the same day, or depending on the dog, we might split. We might have physio at the beginning of the week and hydro at the end of the week. So it's depending on the dog and the condition, and also how they're feeling on the day as well.
Yeah, and I think a good point here is that sometimes we can use one of the modalities in the water. So sometimes we can use, my intention is maybe a bit of ultrasound in the water.
Yeah, definitely. So it all, it's definitely a combination of things all together, which is really nice, and it does help the dog a lot.
So when I was building the pool, we kind of had our clients in and out, and one of the things is, one of my things the clients were saying to me is, what if my dog's scared of water?
Right.
So
what we try and do is we'll offer, usually if they're coming to physiotherapy, because we've got one centre, they might, we'll introduce them to having a look around the pool or having a look around the treadmill. Some dogs are very wary about new situations. Also, if we've got dogs who are dog reactive, make sure that there's no other dogs in the centre for them. So it's just really figuring out how the dog is, and providing a nice, calm and relaxed environment, and just making sure everything's a really good experience. We've had a couple of dogs that we might have only taken up the ramp and introduced just to the ramp on the first session. And then the second session, they're in the ramp and down the pool. So it's sort of just making sure we're building that really good relationship with that dog, and building that trust as well. So yeah, some dogs are fearful of new situations, but just making sure that our situation is going to be good, and just really giving them positive reinforcement all the time.
Yeah, I think I've found that a lot with even just introducing the ground treadmill. It's a very scary tool to use, and I think what's good is that we're all super patient. We'll do what's best for the dog at the time it needs to be done.
Yeah.
And if it's going to take a few sessions to get the dog comfortable in the water, I think the ultimate goal is to get the doggy comfortable in the water, and that's part of the treatment process. So it's really nice to know that is the way that we should be doing things.
Yeah, we should be doing things that way, because we're not going to be able to help their rehabilitation if they're not on board with us. So if, we need them to be going, right, I know it's a benefit to me, and we can go in the pool and I'm going to enjoy it. We're going to have fun. I've got a toy and I've got some treats and I've got all the things that motivates them. And even the owner, sometimes it's just the owner. So our pool is half in, half out. So the the dog actually sort of feels that the owner is in the pool with them, even though they're behind behind the wall, but they can actually, you know, be there as their motivation and their support, because that's all part of it. It's part of the owner being there with the dog and having that treatment and just being in a nice, relaxed, calm environment, so we can actually make sure that we're providing a really good rehabilitation program for them each time they come.
Yeah, and I think it takes time. I think that's the ultimate scenario, is that if a dog is scared and you just keep showing them that they're safe, with time they'll get used to it.
Yeah, and they don't forget either. So once they've had a really good session, they are barking from down the road to get to the hydrotherapy centre.
Some of the clients say that at the sub street before Ramsay Rehab, the dog realizes where they are, you know.
Like, we're going to that cool place where I get lots of treats and lots of cuddles, and yeah, so I think once they know that it's a really good place to be, they just want to be there. You know, they're dragging the owners in. Come on, let's go. Even if they get their swimming bag ready, because a lot of our owners have their special swimming bag. So they get the swimming bag ready, and then the dog's like, right, I know where we're going. We're going to Fit4dogs. Go.
Amazing. One of the questions I wanted to find out is what is the best kind of life jacket to have at the centre or for the clients to go and purchase?
Yeah, so we have, some of our clients do have their own life jackets which they can bring, and I think it's just making sure it's the right fit and the right size for your dog, because we know that we can buy things on Amazon and it can turn up to be this big or this big. So it's sort of getting the right size for your dog and making sure it fits perfectly well. We have a range, obviously, sizes of life jackets and harnesses. With the life jackets, we'll mainly use them on maybe like the first session or depending on the dog's condition. But most of our dogs wear a harness, which is a rough gear harness, which has got the handle at the top. And that's for support. We don't do any naked swimming. We always make sure that we've got good control over the dog, and they've got a harness. And that's also to help us. So when we're in the water, if we need to do any specific movements or anything with the dog, we're able to do like a static, which is where we just hold the dog and the dog's moving the legs. We also use a underwater camera as well. So when we're looking at the dog, we can actually record underwater and see their movements as well, which is quite helpful.
Is that like a GoPro, or is your
yeah, it's just a GoPro. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, that's a great idea as well. I'm making a list of things I have to buy.
Your shopping list will get
bigger after lockdown. And then, are there any well, one of the things my client said is there any reason my dog won't be able to swim?
Yeah, so there's a few different reasons that your dog won't be able to swim. So if your dog's had any diarrhea or vomiting, we definitely don't want to be putting your dog in the pool for those reasons. Also, if there's any open wounds, we don't swim any dogs that are in season. And we just wait, you know. So I suppose that's really good with physiotherapy, is that you can, you know, combine those land and water-based activities. If there's any sort of infections or contagious conditions, like if you've got any ear infections or any eye infections, at Fit4dogs we've got some doggy headbands or doggy swimming hats. So if your dog is quite susceptible to some ear infections, then we can just use the swimming hats as well, just to cover the ears. It doesn't stop the water totally going in, because we'll obviously wipe them when we come out, but it just stops the water trickling in as well and getting that head shake. But if you've got any worries or anything, just talk to your vet, and they're quite happy just to say, well, let's wait a few weeks, or no, you're fine to go swimming now. So and we always do that. We'll always just give the vet a quick ring. Is this dog okay to come back for swimming, or should we wait? So we're always talking to the vets and talking to the owners just to make sure that we're coming back at the right time.
Yeah, no, that's cool. There's another question here. It says, "Hi Kirsty," it's from Sherry. "Hi Kirsty, can a dog do hydrotherapy that's being treated with chemotherapy?"
Right, so there's that's where we just go back to the vet. We have had a few dogs that have had chemotherapy, but it really depends on the stage of chemotherapy that they're at. So I'd best talk to the so when they've had chemotherapy, there is a time after that that we can swim the dog, and it depends on how often they're getting treated for chemotherapy and what stage of chemotherapy they're at. So yes, we can swim a dog who's on chemotherapy, but we obviously have to make sure that it is the right time, because that, yeah.
It's totally patient dependent, I reckon.
Yeah, so it's just making sure, yeah, and that's what we do all the time. We're just talking to the vets and we're talking to the owners, and and is it beneficial for that dog at this time to be swimming? Because it might not be, because if they're not feeling 100% and they're not ready to be swimming and exercising in a certain way, then it's better to wait, and then we're always here, so just wait until your dog is ready to come for hydrotherapy.
Okay, and then another good one I'd like to also hear about is if you're swimming a dog for fitness, and how long would it take to show a good result? How long would it take to see your dog become fitter, or
Right, so
pertain to weight loss as well?
yeah, so I think each dog is so different in each individual dog. So we have fitness dogs that will come. So we've got some agility dogs that come in the winter. So in the off season, to maintain their fitness level, they come to us during in the winter season so that they can keep their fitness up, building their fitness up over time. So swimming is 5 minutes of swimming is like a 5-mile walk around about. So we don't actually need to swim as long as we would go for a normal walk down to the park or anything like that for our dogs. So it is each individual dog is so different, and building up their fitness level each time that they come. So with our weight loss dogs, they might come once a week, but they're also writing down a food diary as well. So with our food diary, we work with the vet nurses on their weight loss clinics. So it's sort of a combination of everything as well. And they will just keep on picking up their fitness level, and it does take time, because we know us going to the pool, we're not very swimming fit to start off with, but then we do build up that fitness over time. And to keep that fitness.
Yeah, so you said 5 miles in kilometers, that's 8 Ks. So you said 5 miles?
Yeah, so a 5-minute swim is like a 5-mile walk.
Okay, so 5-minute swim is an 8-kilometer walk.
Yeah.
8 Ks.
Yeah. So when people go, oh, I want my dog to be swimming for this amount of time, but it's not about swimming for that amount of time. It's about what's the right amount of time for your dog in the water, which is going to be very different than on land. The other thing is that rests are also so important. So when that dog is resting on the platform or on the ramp, then that is also an amazing time for me to be able to do my aquatic massage, or if we're going to do some, just static balance movements, or, just checking their resting pulse rate and their recovery rate, because that's what we want to be working on more as well with our fitness dogs, is how fast are they recovering. So especially because we have a flyball team that would come once a month for maintenance, but their fitness could be picked up quite quickly with their swimming as well. So they were picking up their recovery rate a lot faster, which made a huge difference when they went out and did their sports.
Sure, yeah, I think that's super beneficial to just carry on going all year round, especially if they're working dogs,
Yeah. Also, it helps with
So there's another question here. Oh, sorry, yes.
reducing injuries. So we know if we're fitter, we can try and reduce injuries when they do go out to work for our working dogs or any of our sporting dogs as well.
Okay, cool. So there's another question here. It says, I'm a bit late. Sorry, I missed the beginning. Wanted to know, it's from Tara Newby, wanted to know what the contraindications are to hydrotherapy, which patients are not candidates, and where swimming is likely to be detrimental. So we did cover that, Taryn, but I think maybe evolving on what candidates would not benefit and be detrimental. That's a good point to maybe cover.
Yeah, so I suppose what dogs, it really depends on the dog and what condition they are on. There are some of, say, the brachycephalic breeds that need, if they are swimming, then it's a very different type of swimming. Most of my brachycephalic breeds, that I've got a treadmill, so they go into there. So that does help a lot. So I suppose for me, it's really depending. I would, if they can't do hydrotherapy for any reason, then treadmill is the best for that. So I would then obviously transfer them over to the treadmill.
Yeah, and that's an underwater treadmill.
Yes.
Yes. And a brachycephalic breed is a breed with a small nose, just so that you guys know.
Yes. So
the other question is hydrotherapy beneficial for older dogs with arthritis?
It is amazing for older dogs with arthritis.
Amazing.
Amazing. So we've got quite a lot of older dogs that come in for arthritis, and it's just so nice. I had one dog, a little dog called Molly, she's like a lab cross, and she came and she's just really struggling to walk. You could just feel her joints and the pain and everything. And so we got her in the pool, and you just hear this big sigh. Oh, just take all of the, just take all of that pressure off those joints, and just that warm water helping with her circulation, and just being in the water, and just, you could just see it on her face. It was just like, oh, so nice. So yeah, so just being in the water for them, and just standing on the platform, or just me holding them and floating in the water, it's a huge just benefit to them. And also it's that mental stimulation, because we know with some of our older dogs with arthritis, they really struggle to go for a walk. So even just, I've got one dog called Lulu, and she comes for a spa day every week. And it's her thing, she comes and she does her swims, and she has her massage, and she has a really nice relaxation time, and she has a nice shower afterwards with a nice shampoo, and then she gets her little doggy robe on, and she and it's her spa day, and she feels 100% better each time she comes. And it's just keeping her going and keeping her mobile, which is the most important. And it's mental stimulation, which they all need.
Yeah, I think, just improving quality of life. I think a dog is viewed differently in the family these days than they were like even 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you were 80 years old, you also want a spa day every week. Yes. Like, it's important. It's important for them to stay happy and healthy and to prolong their life, So
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree. It's the most rewarding job ever.
Yeah, definitely. But even when we come to that end of life care as well, so just making sure, as you say, that quality of life is there, and they're still sort of, and just reducing that pain down, which is really nice as well.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So Kirsty, I think we are nearing the end of our session, but I wonder if anyone has any last questions or anything they want to comment on. I think even I've learned a little bit from talking to you. And yeah, I'm so inspired by you and your business and what you do. And I'll probably be picking your brain quite a bit from now on. So thank you so much for coming on. I'm very, very grateful. Thank you. It's amazing.
No, and I love your pool. I love that it's perfect. I like your ramp, and it's really nice.
Yeah, I think a lot of thought went into it, and I'm very excited to get back to it.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I wanted to talk about hydro was just to keep us motivated and positive and keen to get back into the swimming pool.
Yes, I know. We'll be back soon. We'll be back really soon, and all those dogs will be barking from around the corner to get back in.
Awesome. Okay, Kirsty. Well, yeah, I will chat to you soon again. Thank you so much for coming on. And if you guys want to ask Kirsty anything, I think you can just comment here, and I'm sure she'll answer them even after the live. So yeah, and I think I'll put your website in the comment section as well, in case anyone wants to contact you directly, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, you're welcome anytime. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Chat to you soon. Bye.
Bye.